Welcome to John Carter Stories. My son vanished from my life for 6 years. No calls, no texts, nothing, not a single word. And then one Friday afternoon, he walked into my office without knocking. Standing beside him was a woman. He called his wife. The two of them pushed a contract across my desk and said, "Sign over 40% of the company to me so I can pay off my debts." I could barely breathe. My hands went cold. My chest felt like someone had pressed a fist right into the center of it. But I stayed calm. I made one phone call, and that phone call changed everything. Please subscribe and like this video, and listen to my story till the end. And let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. Now, let me take you back to that Friday afternoon, because it started the way most catastrophes start. Quietly, without warning, like a door swinging open that you did not expect. My name is Brandon Calloway. I am 62 years old. I built Calloway Construction from the ground up with one truck, a $10,000 loan, and a woman named Sarah who believed in me before I believed in myself. I have poured 4 decades of my life into this company. Early mornings, late nights, 18-hour days in the Texas heat, missing birthdays, missing dinners, missing things I cannot get back. But I built something real, something solid, something that was supposed to outlast me. I was 3 pages into the Bayside municipal bid when my office door swung open without a knock. $5.2 million was what that contract was worth. The kind of money that keeps 50 employees paid through 2 Texas summers and funds the expansion I had been planning since before Sarah passed. The specs were dense, reinforced concrete, load-bearing calculations, timelines that did not forgive mistakes. I had my red pen in my hand, marking notes about rebar spacing when I heard 2 sets of footsteps cross the threshold. My office manager, Maria, had worked for me for 12 years. She knocked, always, 3 sharp raps. Then she would wait for my coming before turning the handle. Whoever had just walked into my office either did not know that rule or did not care. I kept my eyes on the bid. Let them wait. I was listening. 2 people, one with a heavier step, boots maybe, the other lighter, deliberate, heels on hardwood. "We need to talk." A man's voice, low, strained, familiar in a way that made my gut clench before my brain caught up. I set the pen down slowly and lifted my head. And there he was, Nathan, my son, 35 years old, standing in my office for the first time in 6 years. Awe! And I wish I could tell you that the moment I saw him I felt relief or joy or even just warmth. But what I felt first was something closer to grief, because he did not look like my son. He looked like a version of my son that someone had wrung out and left to dry, thinner than I remembered, the kind of thin that comes from stress and not the gym. His face was harder, the boyish softness gone, replaced by sharp angles and shadows under his eyes. His shirt had been ironed once, maybe a week ago. His jeans hung loose. His hair needed a cut. His hands were shoved deep in his pockets. Shoulders hunched forward like he was already bracing for a hit. But it was his eyes that broke something in me. They were the same dark brown as his mother's. The same eyes that used to light up when I would take him to a job site as a kid, let him hold a tape measure, let him think he was helping. Now they looked hollow, tired, maybe ashamed. I could not tell. Standing beside him was a woman I had never seen before, polished in a way that felt deliberately constructed, dark hair pulled back tight, sharp cheekbones, a tailored navy blazer over a white blouse that probably cost more than my work boots, perfect posture, chin up, shoulders back. When our eyes met, hers did not waver. No nervousness, no apology for barging in, just a cold, steady assessment, like she was sizing up a job site before putting in a lowball bid. "Nathan," I kept my voice even. I was not going to give him anything more than that. "Not yet." He opened his mouth, but she spoke first. "Mr. Calloway." Her voice was smooth, professional, the kind of tone you would use in a boardroom. "I am Diane, Nathan's wife." Wife. The word hit me sideways. I had not known. I had not been invited to a wedding. Had not gotten a phone call, a text, nothing. 6 years of silence, and now this. I leaned back in my chair, folded my arms. "What do you want?" Diane stepped forward, not Nathan, her, and rested her fingertips on the edge of my desk like she owned the place. Nathan owes $350,000. The debt is escalating. Creditors are threatening legal action. We are here because we need your help. I looked past her to Nathan. He would not meet my eyes. He was staring at the floor, jaw clenched, hands still buried in his pockets. Help, I repeated. The word tasted bitter. You have not spoken to me in 6 years. Now you walk in here and ask for help. We are not asking, Diane said, and her tone shifted. Still calm, but colder now, sharper. We are offering you a solution. You sign over 40% equity in Callaway Construction to Nathan tonight. In exchange, we will manage the debt repayment ourselves. You do not have to give us cash, just a stake. 40%. She wanted 40% of the company I had built from nothing. The company Sarah and I had started with a single truck and a shared dream. The company I had bled for and fought for and built with my own hands. Get out, I said quietly. Diane blinked. Excuse me? I said get out. Both of you. Nathan's head snapped up. Dad, please don't. I stood, planting both hands on the desk. You do not get call me that. Not after 6 years. Not like this. Diane's expression did not change. Mr. Callaway, if you do not help Nathan, the consequences will be severe. For him, for your family, for your reputation. Is that a threat? It is a reality. I stared at her, then at Nathan. He still would not look at me. His hands were trembling inside his pockets. I could see the fabric shaking. I took a slow breath. Here is what is going to happen. You are going to leave my office. Monday morning, 9 o'clock, you come back. We will talk, not negotiate. Talk. You do not walk into my place of business and make demands. You want my time, you ask for it, like adults. Diane opened her mouth. I cut her off. That is the offer. Take it or leave it. 5 seconds of silence. Diane's eyes stayed locked on mine, searching for weakness. I did not give her any. Fine, she said. Monday, 9 a.m. She turned and walked toward the door. Nathan hesitated. He looked at me one last time, and I saw something in his face. Desperation, maybe, or regret. Then he followed her out. The door clicked shut. I stood there alone in my office, listening to hum of the air conditioning and the distant sound of a truck backing up in the yard outside. My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat against the desk, felt the cool wood under my palms, and forced myself to breathe. The phone on my desk buzzed. The screen lit up. Harrison Wells, my business partner of 30 years. My friend of longer than that. He had been at my wedding. He had been at Sarah's funeral. He knew what 6 years of silence meant. I picked up. Nathan just left, I said. Silence on the other end. Not the empty kind. The kind where someone is processing something they did not expect. Your son Nathan? Yeah. What did he want? I exhaled slowly. $350,000. Not cash. Equity. 40% of Callaway Construction. His wife, Diane, said he owes that much in debt, and they need me to sign over a stake in the company to cover it. Another pause. The creak of old leather as Harrison shifted in his chair. Did you know he was married? No, and he wants 40%. Brandon, that is, I know what it is. I cut him off. Not angry, just tired. I told them no. Set a meeting for Monday morning. They left. What is her last name? The wife? I realized I did not know. She had introduced herself as Diane, Nathan's wife. Nothing more. I had been too focused on my son standing in my office after 6 years to ask. I do not know, I admitted. How long have they been married? I do not know that either. Harrison. I heard him typing in the background. Fast. The way he had been doing it since before computers were standard in construction offices. I am going to make some calls this weekend. Run a background check. Something about this does not sit right. You do not have to. Yes, I do. Listen to me. You do not walk into someone's office after 6 years and demand 40% of a $12 million a year company without a plan. This is not desperation. This is calculated. He was right. I had felt it too, standing there watching Diane's cold eyes. The way she had stepped forward while Nathan hung back. The way she had phrased it. Not a request. a solution. But part of me did not want to admit it. Part of me wanted to believe my son had come back because he needed his father, not because someone had sent him there. Call me tomorrow, Harrison said. I will have something by then. Okay, Brandon, you did the right thing, setting the boundary, making them wait. Do not second-guess yourself. I nodded even though he could not see me. Thanks, Harrison. The line went quiet. I sat there in the stillness of my office, staring at the Bayside bid still spread across my desk. The numbers had stopped making sense. The words blurred together. I thought about the last time I had seen Nathan. 6 years ago, March of 2014. He had been 29 years old, sitting across from me at a diner on the east side of Houston, hands shaking so badly he could not hold his coffee cup steady. He had come to me 3 days earlier and confessed. He had gotten in deep with the wrong people. Gambling debts. Poker games that started friendly and turned predatory. Private loans with interest rates that compounded weekly. Men who did not take, I will pay you next month as an answer. $350,000. Same number Diane had said today. Coincidence. Or history repeating. Back then I had made a choice. I sold the house Sarah and I had bought in 1987. The house where we had raised Nathan. Where his height marks were still penciled on the kitchen doorframe. Where his mother had taken her last breath 2 years earlier. I got $240,000 for it. Moved into a smaller place closer to the office. I drained every dollar I had tucked away for retirement, for emergencies, for the future I thought I would have with Sarah before the cancer took her. $180,000 gone. And when that still was not enough, I went to the bank and took out a $250,000 mortgage against Callaway Construction. Put my life's work on the line. $620,000 total. I gave it to Nathan in a cashier's check. Watched him sign paperwork promising he would pay back the loan sharks. Watched him swear he would get help, go to meetings, stay away from the tables. Then I told him the hardest thing I had ever said. You are cut off until you get real help. Therapy, meetings, something. We are done. I cannot watch you destroy yourself, son. I will not. He had looked at me with those brown eyes, his mother's eyes, and I had seen the hurt there, the anger, the shame. He took the check and walked out of that diner, and I had not heard from him since. Not on his 30th birthday. Not on mine. Not on the anniversary of Sarah's passing. Not on Christmas or Thanksgiving or any random Tuesday in between. 6 years of silence. And now he was back. I locked up the office at 6:30. The parking lot was empty except for my truck, a white F-250 with the Callaway Construction logo on the door. I drove home on autopilot, the strip malls and fast food joints on the Gulf Freeway blurring past. My house was dark when I pulled in, small single-story built in the 70s. I had stopped leaving lights on years ago. No point when it was just me inside. I poured 2 fingers of whiskey. Maker's Mark. Sarah used a joke that I was too cheap for the expensive stuff and too stubborn for the rail liquor. Ha ha ha! And she was not wrong about either. I sat down at the kitchen table, the same one we had bought at a garage sale in 1986, and set the glass in front of me. I did not drink it. I just sat there staring at my phone on the table. Screen dark. No missed calls. No messages. It never rang anymore. Outside, a dog barked. A car door slammed. The neighbor's air conditioner kicked on. Inside, it was just me and the silence and a glass of whiskey I could not bring myself to touch. Now here is what you need to understand before Saturday morning comes. Because what Harrison found in those 24 hours is going to make your jaw drop. He did not just find her name. He found a pattern. 3 other families. 3 other fathers. And what happened to those families will stop your breath cold. Stay with me. Saturday morning. 9 o'clock sharp. My phone rang. I was sitting at the kitchen table staring at cold coffee I had not touched. Harrison's name on the screen. Yeah, get to the office now. His voice was tight. Urgent. What is it? Not over the phone. Just come. 20 minutes later, I was walking into Callaway Construction. Harrison's SUV sat crooked across 2 parking spaces. Inside, his desk was buried under printed documents, sticky notes. His laptop open to court records. Reading glasses perched on his nose, something he only wore when he was deep in research. He looked up, closed the door. I did. What did you find? Harrison pulled off his glasses. Her name is not Diane Pierce. My jaw tightened. What is it? Victoria Carmelo. 38, not 33. Disbarred California attorney. 2017. Client fraud. He slid a document across the desk. Official State Bar letterhead. She filed a name change in 2018. Became Diane Pierce. Legal, but deliberate. She was burying her past. Why? Because she has done this before. 3 times I can confirm. He turned a legal pad toward me. Names. Dates. Lines connecting them like a murder board. Victim 1. California. 2007 to 2009. David Lawson. Medical supply company. $8 million. Widower. Son had a pill problem. Victoria met him at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. 6 months later, married. She convinced the father to sign over 35% equity. Then they sold it back for $850,000 and divorced. Cold dread settled in my chest. What happened to the father? Heart attack. 2010, 61 years old. Harrison's voice softened. His daughter Rebecca said the stress destroyed him. She gave me a video statement. He turned the laptop toward me and pressed play. A woman in her late 40s sat on a couch, hands folded, tired eyes, hair going gray at the temples. My name is Rebecca Lawson. In 2007, Victoria Carmelo targeted my brother when he was at his lowest. Fresh out of rehab, trying to get clean, she went to his meetings, made him feel understood. 6 months later, they were married and she had convinced my father to hand over a third of our business. Her voice cracked and she swallowed. My father passed 8 months after they left. My brother relapsed. Victoria destroyed my family for $850,000. The video ended. I stared at the frozen frame. You said 3 victims, I said. Victim 2. Oregon, 2010 to 2012. James Kowalski Sr. Logging business. $9 million. Widower. Son Michael had a gambling problem. Same pattern. Met at Gamblers Anonymous. Married. She faked a pregnancy. Got the father to sign over 40% equity. When the pregnancy fell through, she filed for divorce. $1.2 million settlement. Harrison's jaw tightened. The son, Michael Kowalski, passed in 2012. Ruled accidental. His sister Margaret believes he cannot live with the guilt. He clicked play again. A woman in flannel on a porch swing. Fireplace behind her, voice steady but barely. My name is Margaret Kowalski. In 2010, Diane Pierce married my brother Michael. He was struggling with gambling. She told him she was pregnant. My father wanted to give his grandson a future, so he signed over 40% of our business. Her voice cracked. There was no baby. She took the money and left. We lost Michael 2 years later. She is a predator. She finds broken men and destroys them. Tears on her face as the video stopped. My hands were shaking. Victim 3. Harrison said quietly. Raymond Huang. Nevada, 2013 to 2014. Casino owner. $15 million. Widower. Son with a gambling addiction. Diane made her move, but Huang hired a private investigator early. She had stolen $400,000 before they caught her and fled before charges were filed. I looked at the legal pad. 3 families. 3 widowed fathers. 3 addicted sons. 1 father dead. 1 son dead. And now Nathan. She targeted him. I said, someone vulnerable. Someone with a father who had money. Harrison nodded. You are victim 4. And she has been planning this for years. I sat down hard. Nathan's hollow eyes. Diane's cold demand. 40%. How did she find him? How did she know about us? Harrison closed his laptop. I do not know yet, but I will buy tomorrow. I stared at the stacks of evidence. 3 shattered families lay bare across my desk like blueprints for disaster. Monday, I said. She is walking into my office thinking she has me cornered. Harrison met my eyes. Then we make sure she is wrong. Sunday morning. Harrison and I met at a diner 20 miles outside Houston, just off the highway. The kind of place truckers stopped at for coffee and pancakes at 4 in the morning. Vinyl booths. A waitress who had been working there longer than I had been in business. We sat in the back corner away from the other customers, 2 cups of black coffee between us and a folder Harrison had brought. He had been up all night. Dark circles, shoulders slumped, but his eyes were sharp. I found out how she got to Nathan. Harrison said, sliding a printout across the table. It was a screenshot from a website, Gamblers Anonymous Meeting Locations in Houston. She has been going to GA meetings all over the city, not because she has a problem, because she is hunting. I stared at the paper. 5 different locations highlighted in yellow. How do you know? I called 3 of them. Asked if anyone remembered a woman named Diane Pierce attending meetings in 2018. 2 facilitators confirmed it. She showed up for about 6 months at the Westheimer location, then stopped coming. That is the same meeting Nathan was attending back then. She scouted him. I said, yeah. She listened to his story, learned about his gambling, his debts, his family. Then she made her move. Harrison pulled out another document. Nathan's current debt breaks down like this. $180,000 to Westside Financial. That is a collections agency that bought his loans from the original creditors. Another $120,000 spread across credit cards. $50,000 in personal loans from a man named Marco. $350,000. Same number from Friday. I contacted Westside Financial yesterday. Harrison continued, told them I was representing a family member interested in settling the debt. They are willing to sell it for $95,000 cash. I looked up. You want me to buy his debt? I want us to buy it. Once we own it. Nathan does not owe Westside anymore. He owes you, and you can set whatever terms you want. And Diane, she does not know. She thinks you are coming to the table Monday with nothing but guilt and fear. We're going to let her keep thinking that. Harrison leaned forward. Texas is a one-party consent state. You can record the meeting without telling them. Everything she says, every threat she makes, all of it admissible. What is the play? We draft documents that look like an equity transfer. 40% of Callaway Construction signed over to Nathan. But buried in the legal language, it is actually a secured promissory note, a loan with a personal guarantee. If she pushes Nathan to sign, if she makes demands, we have got her on tape for coercion. And when the dust settles, you are not giving up equity. You are his creditor. You control the terms. I sat back. It was smart. Risky, but smart. There's one more thing, I said quietly. Harrison waited. I pulled out my phone and opened a hidden folder I had never shown anyone. 6 years ago, when I told Nathan we were done, I did not tell him the whole truth. I turned the phone toward Harrison. The folder was labeled Nathan, support. Inside were bank statements, emails, receipts. 6 years of records. After I gave him the $620,000 to clear his debts in 2014, I told him he was cut off, but I could not just let him fall. I scrolled through the files. A week after he left, I called Miguel Reyes. He runs Reyes Plumbing. I asked him to hire Nathan. $18 an hour, basic apprentice work. I paid Miguel $500 a month under the table to keep him on, even when Nathan showed up late or made mistakes. Harrison's eyes widened. That lasted a year. When Miguel's contracts dried up, I called Tom Henderson. Henderson Electric. Same deal. $400 a month. Nathan worked on the Westheimer project. He did not know I was a general contractor on that job. Tom never told him. I kept scrolling. Then Roger Walsh at Prestige Property Management. Leasing agent. $300 a month. 2016 to 2017. Then Daniel Foster at Gateway Commercial Real Estate. $200 a month. That one lasted 2 years, right up until Nathan met Diane. Harrison was staring at me. How much total? $28,000 over 6 years. None of them told Nathan. They all said he was a decent worker, good with his hands, reliable until 2018. Then he started missing shifts, showing up distracted. Every single one of them said the same thing. Something changed when the woman came into his life. Harrison closed the folder and slid my phone back. You never abandoned him. I was angry. I said it plain and without apology. I was furious at the choices he made. But he is my son. Sarah would never have forgiven me if I just walked away. So I did not. I stayed in the shadows. I made sure he at work, even if he did not know it was me. Then we use it, Harrison said, his voice firm. Monday morning, when she is sitting there making demands, thinking she has you cornered, you show Nathan what you've been doing. You prove she has been lying to him, that you never sabotage him, that you have been protecting him the whole time. I nodded slowly. It felt like exposing a wound. But Harrison was right. Then Sunday evening arrived, and everything I thought I knew about how calculated dying really was, it was nothing compared to what we found next. Harrison followed her, and what he photographed in that coffee shop notebook is something that still makes my blood run cold when I think about it. Did not go anywhere. Harrison called me Sunday evening. His message was 2 sentences. I followed her to a coffee shop this afternoon. She left a journal on the table when she went to the bathroom. I had 3 minutes. Took photos of every page. Forwarding now. This is bad. I was standing at the Bayside construction site in the fading light when the photos came through. 12 images. I clicked the first one. Neat handwriting. Deliberate. Controlled. March 12th. N's father, Brandon Calloway. 62. Widower. Calloway Construction, LLC. 12 million annual revenue. Owns company outright. No board. Business partner Harrison Wells. Minimal equity exposure. Vulnerable. No wife. Estranged son. Perfect target. My chest tightened. Next photo. April 3rd. Trigger gambling relapse. Introduce N to Marco. Loan shark contact Dallas. Small bets first. Build confidence. Then larger debt accumulation. Target 300,000 plus within 18 months. Need leverage for equity demand. Next, September 7th, debt at 220,000. Escalate. Marco pushing hard. And stress. Good. Stress equals desperation. Desperation equals compliance. By January, we move on the father. Next, February 15th, demand 40% equity, not cash. Equity easier to liquidate quietly. If he signs, we sell shares within 6 months. Target extraction 3.2 million. I could not breathe. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped the phone. Next photo. March 20th. Backup plan. If father refuses, threaten elder abuse claims, financial exploitation, coercion. Tie him up in court. Drag company through the mud. He will settle to protect his reputation. Either way, we win. Last photo. March 22nd. After Callaway next target. Austin, Texas. Tech executive. 18 million net worth. Widower. Son in rehab. Opioids. Already scouting NA meetings. Timeline June. I stood in the middle of that empty construction frame and stared at the screen. The sun was going down behind the steel beams, casting the site in orange and shadow. She had planned every step, every move. She had manipulated my son like a piece on a chessboard, and she was already looking ahead to her next victim. Cold rage settled in my gut. Not the hot explosive kind. The kind that turns into focus, into resolve. I forwarded the photos to my personal email. Then I stood and looked around the Bayside site one more time. This was what I had built. Solid, real, honest work. Foundations that would not crack. Beams that would not bend. I was not going to let a con artist take it. And I was not going to let her take my son. I pulled out my phone and typed a message to Harrison. I am ready. Tomorrow we protect Nathan, even if he does not know it yet. Monday morning, 8:55 a.m. I sat at my desk. The recording app on my phone was already running, the device lying face down in the shallow drawer to my right. In the conference room next door, Harrison sat with a backup receiver on the table in front of him. A small transmitter was hidden behind a stack of binders on my bookshelf. If I needed him, he would hear everything. I glanced at the clock. 8:57. My hands were steady. The cold anger from Sunday night had hardened into something sharp, something I could use. At 9 o'clock exactly, I heard Maria's voice in the hallway. Mr. Calloway, your 9 o'clock is here. I stood, smoothed the front of my shirt, took one slow breath. Send them in. The door opened. Nathan came through first, shoulders hunched, eyes cast down. He wore the same wrinkled blue shirt he had worn on Friday, like he'd been wearing it for 3 days straight. Diane followed 2 steps behind. Charcoal gray blazer today, perfectly tailored. She moved with the same calculated confidence, scanning my office like she was appraising it. "Sit down," I said, gesturing to the 2 chairs across from my desk. They sat. Nathan kept his eyes down. Diane met mine without blinking. "Let's talk," I said. Diane leaned forward immediately. "Mr. Calloway, we are here to finalize." I was not talking to you. I kept my voice flat. Even. I looked past her directly at Nathan. "I want to hear from my son. Not his lawyer. Not his handler. Him." Nathan's head lifted slowly. His eyes were bloodshot, dark circles underneath. He looked like he had not slept in a week. "Dad," the word came out rough. Cracked. He cleared his throat. "I owe $350,000. I thought I could handle it. I thought I could dig myself out. But the interest kept climbing, and the calls won't stop." His voice broke. He swallowed hard. "I don't know what else to do." I let the silence settle for 3 full seconds. "Who do you owe the money to?" Nathan pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket and unfolded it with shaking hands. "Westside Financial, $180,000. That is the biggest chunk. Then credit cards, about $120,000 total, and personal loans. $50,000 from Marco. Marco, the name from Diane's journal. The loan shark she had introduced him to deliberately. I kept my expression neutral. "How did you meet Diane?" I asked. Nathan glanced sideways at her, then back to me. Gamblers Anonymous. Spring of 2018. I was trying to get help. She was at the same meeting. She understood what I was going through. I shifted my gaze to Diane. She was watching me carefully. Expression unreadable. "What is your full legal name?" I asked her directly. A pause. Just a fraction of a second too long. "Diane Pierce." "Maiden name. That is not relevant to this discussion. Mr. Calloway." "I think it is." I kept my tone conversational. "Your full legal name." "For the record." She held my stare. Another pause. "Pierce. Diane Marie Pierce." I picked up the pen on my desk, wrote slowly on the legal pad in front of me, spoke each word aloud as I wrote. "Diane Marie Pierce. Maiden name. Unknown." I set the pen down. I saw the slight tension in her shoulders. I turned back to Nathan. "Do you know what happened to David Lawson, Jr. in California?" Nathan blinked. Confusion spread across his face. "Who?" "David Lawson, Jr.'s father owned a medical supply company in San Diego. $8 million operation." I kept my tone conversational. "What about Michael Kowalski in Oregon? His father ran a logging business." "I don't." Nathan looked at Diane, then back at me. "I don't know who those people are." "Dad." I leaned back in my chair and looked directly at Diane. "Your wife does." A flicker in her eyes. Just for a split second, before we discuss equity, I said quietly, "I want to show Nathan something." I reached down and pulled out a thick blue folder from the drawer on the left side of my desk. Worn edges, papers organized with tabs. I slid it across the desk toward Nathan. "These are records I've kept for the last 6 years." I said, meeting my son's eyes. "Things I never told you. Things I should have told you a long time ago." Nathan stared at the folder. Diane's eyes narrowed slightly. "Open it," I said. Nathan's hand moved slowly toward the folder. His fingers trembled as they touched the worn blue edge. He flipped it open. Inside were dozens of documents. Color-coded tabs. Yellow, green, blue, pink. Pay stubs clipped together. Bank statements with lines highlighted in red. Printed emails. Handwritten notes on Callaway construction letterhead. Nathan lifted the first page. A pay stub. Reyes Plumbing, April 2014. His name in the employee field. $18 per hour. He looked up at me, confusion written all over his face. I leaned forward, resting my forearms on the desk. "After I paid off your debts in 2014, after I gave you that $620,000 and told you we were done, I lied." Nathan blinked. "What?" "I told you I was cutting you off, that you were on your own until you got real help. That was true in a way. I was not going to hand you cash. I was not going to bail you out again. But I could not just walk away. You are my son. So I did something else. And what I showed him next, document by document, folder by folder, changed the entire look on his face, from confusion to disbelief, to something raw and broken that I had never seen on a grown man before. What Diane did when she realized where this was going is something you need to see for yourself. Keep watching. I spread the documents out in front of Nathan like I was laying down cards. Stack 1, I said, tapping the first pile. Reyes Plumbing. Nathan stared at the papers. The day after you left my house in 2014, the day after I told you we were done, I called Miguel Reyes. I had worked with him for years. Good man. Honest. I asked him to hire you. Told him you needed steady work. Needed structure. $18 an hour. Basic apprentice wages. I pulled out a highlighted bank statement. This is my account. Every month for 12 months. I paid Miguel $500 under the table. A subsidy so he could keep you on payroll even when work was slow. Even when you showed up late. Even when you made mistakes. Nathan picked up one of the pay stubs. His hands were shaking harder now. Miguel told me you were good with your hands. I continued. Said you just needed to show up. And you did, Nathan. For a whole year. You showed up. I moved to the second stack. Henderson Electric. When Miguel's contracts dried up in 2015, I called Tom Henderson. Same deal. For $100 a month. You worked on the Westheimer Road project. 6 months of commercial wiring retrofit work. You did not know I was the general contractor on that job. Tom never told you. I slid a time card across the desk. Nathan's signature at the bottom of each week. 52 weeks. No absences. Tom said you were reliable, a fast learner. He wanted to keep you on permanently. But I told him I had another opportunity lined up for you. Third stack. Prestige Property Management. Nathan was staring at me now. Not at the papers. At me. Roger Walsh, 2016 to 2017. Leasing agent. $300 a month. You showed apartments, handled tenant inquiries, did property tours. Roger said you were great with people. Tenants liked you. You had a knack for reading what they needed. I paused deliberately. Until about 6 months into the job. Late 2017. You started missing showings. Coming in late. Roger said something changed. He did not know what. I shifted my gaze to Diane. Held it. That is right around the time you two met. Is it not? Diane's face remained stone, but her eyes flickered. Just for a second. I turned back to Nathan. Stack 4. Gateway Commercial Real Estate. Nathan's breathing was uneven now. Daniel Foster. 2018 to 2020. 2 years. $200 a month. You worked commercial property sales. Daniel said you were his most reliable agent for the first 6 months. Then late 2018, things changed again. You started missing client meetings. Stopped returning calls. Daniel called me in early 2019. Said he did not know what was going on with you, but he would keep you on as long as he could because I had vouched for you. I pulled out the last document. A bank statement from February 2020. The final payment to Daniel Foster. $200. The last subsidy I had paid before Nathan walked into my office last Friday. 6 years, I said quietly. For jobs. $28,000. I paid these men to give you a chance. To give you work. To keep you standing. Nathan's eyes were wet. His jaw was working, but no sound came out. I never abandoned you, I said, and my voice broke just slightly on it. I was angry. I am still angry at some of the choices you made. But I never stopped trying to help you. I never stopped believing you could get back on your feet. Diane spoke for the first time since we had opened the folder. Her voice was sharp, controlled. This is manipulation, Nathan. He is trying to make you feel guilty. He is rewriting history to control you. No, I cut her off without looking at her. I kept my eyes on my son. I am not rewriting anything. I am showing him the truth you have been hiding from him. Nathan picked up one of the emails. It was from Roger Walsh, dated November 2017. Brandon, Rob missed another showing today. Third one this month. He said he had a family emergency, but I think something else is going on. He is distracted, different. I will keep him on like we agreed, but I wanted you to know. Nathan's hands were shaking so badly the paper rattled. You told me his voice cracked. He looked at Diane. You told me he sabotaged my jobs. You said he called my bosses. You said he got me fired. Diane's expression did not change. Nathan, you are not thinking clearly. You lied. Nathan's voice was louder now, stronger. You told me he destroyed those opportunities. You said he was controlling me, punishing me. But he was helping me the whole time. He was controlling you, Diane insisted, paying people to watch you, to report back to him. That is not help, Nathan. That is surveillance. That is love, I said quietly. The room went silent. Nathan looked at me. Tears were running down his face now. He did not wipe them away. Why did you not tell me? He whispered. Because you needed to believe you earned it. You needed to believe you could stand on your own. And you could have, Nathan, you were doing it, until she convinced you I was the enemy. Nathan's gaze shifted slowly back to Diane. And for the first time since Friday, I saw something in his eyes I had not seen in 6 years. Doubt. Diane stood, chair scraping. We are leaving. This is a waste of... Sit down. My voice was flat, final. She stopped, looked at Nathan. He was not moving. She sat. I turned my laptop toward Nathan. Watch this. 2 videos. 3 minutes. I pressed play. Rebecca Lawson appeared on screen. Late 40s, graying blonde hair, tired eyes. My name is Rebecca Lawson. In 2007, Victoria Carmelo met my brother David at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting in San Diego. He was 26, fresh from rehab, fighting a painkiller addiction after a car accident. Victoria attended his meetings, made him feel understood. They married 6 months later. She convinced my father to sign over 35% of our medical supply business worth $8 million, telling him it would give David a stake in his future. Nathan leaned forward. 3 months later, Victoria and David sold their shares for $850,000, then divorced. David relapsed within 2 weeks. My father had a heart attack 8 months later. 61 years old. The doctors said stress-related. I say heartbreak. Victoria took $850,000 and destroyed my family. We are not the only ones. Video ended. Nathan sat frozen. I clicked the second file. Margaret Kowalski, with paneling behind her, a stone fireplace, a woman in flannel, jaw clenched. Margaret Kowalski, Bend, Oregon. In 2010, Diane Pierce, that is what she called herself, met my brother Michael at Gamblers Anonymous in Portland. For months later, she told him she was pregnant. Her jaw tightened. My father signed over 40% of our logging business for his future grandchild. 3 months later, Diane claimed a miscarriage and filed for divorce. Took $1.2 million in settlement. Margaret's voice dropped. Michael passed in 2012. Overdose, ruled accidental. But I know he could not live with the guilt of what she made him do. She is a predator. She finds broken men and destroys them. Screen went black. Silence pressed down like a weight. Robert's face was chalk white. I looked at Diane. Victoria Carmelo, disbarred California attorney, 2017, client fraud. Name change filed 2018. 3 victims. David Lawson, Michael Kowalski, Raymond Huang in Nevada. You have a pattern. You cannot prove that, Diane said coolly. I do not need to prove it to a court. I need to prove it to him. I pulled the printed journal pages from my desk and pushed them toward Nathan. This is your wife's journal. She left it at a coffee shop. My investigator photographed it. Diane's mask slipped. Eyes went wide. Just a flicker. Then stone again. Read it out loud, I said to Nathan. His hands shook as he picked up the first page. March 12th. Voice barely audible. N's father, Brandon Calloway, 62, widower. Calloway Construction, $12 million annual revenue. Owns outright. Vulnerable. He looked at Diane. Back down. April 3rd. Trigger gambling relapse. Introduce N to Marco. Loan shark. Build debt 300,000 plus. Need leverage for equity demand. Voice cracking now. September 7th. Debt 220,000. Escalate. Marco pushing. N stressed. Good. Stress equals desperation. Desperation equals compliance. Next page. Hands rattling the paper. February 15th. Demand 40% equity, not cash. If he signs, sell shares 6 months. Target extraction $3.2 million. Nathan stopped. Pages trembling. You planned this. Voice breaking. All of it. Marco's poker games. You introduced me. Said he was a friend. The loans, you co-signed them. You said you were helping me manage. He could not finish. Diane said nothing. Stone-faced. She was not helping you. I said quietly. She created your debt. Built it deliberately so she could walk you in here and demand 40%. $3.2 million. That was her target. Nathan's fingers went slack. Pages scattered across the desk. I need to leave, he said. I cannot. Not yet, I said. One more thing. I opened the bottom drawer of my desk and pulled out a leather folder. Thick, heavy. Harrison had dropped it off at 7:30 this morning while Nathan and Diane were still driving over. 3 documents inside, each flagged with a yellow tab. Behind me, the door to the conference room opened. Harrison stepped through, coffee mug in hand, and took a position near the door. Casual, but his eyes were sharp and focused. Nathan looked up at him. Harrison. Morning, Nathan. Harrison said evenly. Your dad asked me to sit in. Hope that is all right. Nathan nodded slowly. I pulled the first document from the folder and slid it across the desk toward Nathan. This is a debt purchase agreement. I bought your $180,000 debt from Westside Financial this weekend. Paid $95,000 for it, cash. As of this moment, you do not owe them anything. You owe me. Nathan blinked. What? Why would you? Because I am your father. And because I can offer you terms you can actually meet. 0 interest. Payments you can afford. A path to clear it without destroying your life. I tapped the second document. This is a secured promissory note. You are going to sign it. $2,500 a month. 3% interest. 5-year term. If you make every payment on time, I will forgive the interest at the end and reduce the principal by 20%. Nathan stared at the paper. His lips moved slightly, doing the math. Then I pulled out the third document. This one was thicker, clipped together. This, I said, is a petition for divorce, filed on behalf of Nathan Calloway, citing fraud, misrepresentation, and coercion in the inducement of marriage. Attached is an emergency motion to freeze all jointly held assets, pending a full investigation into financial misconduct. Diane's eyes went wide, just for a split second. Then the mask slammed back down. You cannot, she started. I am not filing it, I interrupted. Nathan is, if he chooses. I shifted my gaze to my son. His face was pale, drawn, but his eyes were clearer than they had been in days. I cannot make you leave her, Nathan. That is your decision. But I can give you the tools to do it safely. This petition is already filled out and pre-filed with the county clerk's office, pending your signature. If you sign it, Harrison will walk it to the courthouse this afternoon. You will be legally separated by end of business today. She will not be able to touch anything. Not your credit, not your wages. Nothing. Silence filled the room. Heavy, crushing. Nathan stared at the divorce petition. His hand hovered over it, trembling. Nathan, do not listen to him, Diane said, and her voice had changed. Softer now, pleading. He is manipulating you. He is using your guilt to control you. We can fight this together. We can, like you manipulated me. Nathan's voice was quiet, hoarse, but steady. Diane stopped. Nathan picked up the pen, pulled the promissory note toward him, read it slowly, carefully, then signed his name at the bottom. Neat, deliberate. Then he pulled the divorce petition toward him, flipped through the pages, stopped at the signature line. He looked at Diane for a long moment. Neither of them spoke. Then he signed. He set the pen down, pushed both documents back across to me. Did not say a word. I turned to Diane and kept my voice calm. Professional. You have 2 choices. You can leave quietly right now, or I can call the Houston Police Department and play them the recording I have been making since 9 o'clock this morning. Every word you have said, every demand you have made. Texas Penal Code 31.03. theft by deception, extortion, plus the journal evidence. Your call. Diane stood slowly. She did not look at Nathan. She reached down, picked up her purse, slung it over her shoulder, and walked to the door. She stopped with her hand on the handle. Turn back. You are making a mistake, Nathan, she said. Her voice was flat now. Empty. Nathan looked up at her. For the first time since he had walked into my office on Friday, I heard something solid in his voice. No, I made a mistake 2 years ago. This is me fixing it. Diane held his gaze for 3 seconds. Then she turned the handle and walked out. The door clicked shut behind her. Nathan sat in his chair staring at the 2 documents he had just signed. His hands rested flat on his knees. His shoulders began to shake. Then he started to cry. Not the quiet kind. The kind that came from somewhere deep. 6 years deep. The kind that had been building since the day he walked away from me at that diner in 2014. I stood, walked around the desk, sat down in the chair Diane had just left, and I put my hand on my son's shoulder. That night, Nathan moved in. He showed up with a canvas duffel bag over one shoulder and a red toolbox in his other hand. That was everything. Everything he owned in the world, apparently, fit into 2 items. Hey, he said quietly. Come in. Do not go anywhere. The first 3 days Nathan was home, he slept 14, 15 hours a day. I would hear him get up around noon, shuffle to the bathroom, then go back to bed. He barely spoke, barely ate. I would leave food on the counter, sandwiches, leftovers, and most of it would still be there in the morning. I did not push. On the 4th day, I came home from work around 6 and found him outside in the backyard. He had pulled my toolbox out of the garage and was crouched down by the fence, hammer in one hand, measuring the gap between 2 broken slats. The fence had been busted for 2 years. A windstorm had knocked a section loose, and I had kept meaning to fix it. I stood at the back door and watched him work. He did not see me. He was focused, methodical, measuring twice before cutting, driving nails with steady, even strokes. 6 hours later, when the sun was setting, he finally stood up, wiped his forehead with the back of his hand, and looked at his work. The fence was solid, straight, fixed. He glanced back at the house and saw me standing there. Needed to do something with my hands. He said, Looks good. He nodded, gathered the tools, and came inside. He ate dinner that night. Not much, but more than he had in 3 days. Day 5. Nathan asked if he could borrow my truck. Where are you going? Gamblers Anonymous meeting. St. Mark's Church. 7 p.m. I handed him the keys. You wanted to come with you? No, I need to do this myself. He left at 6:30 and did not come back until after 9. When he walked in, he looked lighter. Not happy exactly, but less weighed down. How did it go? Good. I got a new sponsor. His name is Frank. He has been clean from gambling for 11 years. That is really good, Nathan. That is really good. He nodded, handed me the keys, and went to his room. Saturday morning, I brought it up over coffee. I want you to see someone. A therapist. Her name is Dr. Lane. She specializes in trauma and addiction. I have been seeing her since your mother passed. Nathan looked up from his mug. You have been seeing a therapist for 8 years? It helped me more than I thought it would. I am not asking you to go alone. I want us to do a session together. Just one. If you hate it, we never go back. He stared at his coffee. Then slowly he nodded. Okay. 1 session. 1 Sunday evening. We sat in the living room with no television and no distractions. Just the 2 of us and the hum of the air conditioner. Nathan was the one who spoke first. Why did you do it? He asked. Why did you buy my debt? I set my coffee cup down. Because $95,000 is nothing compared to losing you. He looked at me and I saw the doubt in his eyes. The question he had been carrying for 6 years. I thought you hated me, he said quietly, after everything I did, the gambling, the money, the way I walked out on you. I thought you were done with me. I was angry, I said. I am still angry at some of the choices you made. But I never stopped loving you, Nathan. Not for 1 single day in 6 years. His eyes welled up. He looked away, rubbed his face with both hands. I do not deserve that, he whispered. You are my son. You do not have to deserve it. We sat in silence for a long time. Outside, I could hear a dog barking, a car driving past, the neighbor's sprinkler clicking on. Then Nathan spoke again, his voice rough and tired. I keep getting these headaches. Past year, maybe longer. Really bad ones. Vanessa, Diane, she said it was just stress from the debt. She gave me pills to help me sleep. Said they would help with the headaches, too. Something cold settled in my chest. What kind of pills? I do not know. She bought them. Sleep aids, she said. I would take one before bed and be out cold. I kept my face neutral. You still taking them? No, I have not had any since I left. He paused, rubbed his temples. The headaches are actually getting better. I filed that away. Did not push. Not yet. Monday morning, I called Dr. Lane's office and got her voicemail. Dr. Lane, it is Brandon Calloway. I need to talk to you about Nathan. It is important. She called back that afternoon. Brandon, you mentioned Nathan is having memory issues. Can you be more specific? I was sitting in my truck outside a hardware supply store. I described everything. The gaps, the deja vu, the blurry memories of signing documents while on sleep medication. How long has he been off the medication? 3 months, since he moved in with me. The headaches? He says they are getting better. A pause. Then Brandon, I would like Nathan to get a physical exam. Full blood work. I am concerned about what was in those pills. If they contain benzodiazepines or something stronger, that could explain the memory impairment. You think she was drugging him? I think it is worth investigating. But I do not want to alarm Nathan right now. He is doing so well. Can you get him in for a routine checkup? Frame it as standard medical care. I will figure it out. By September, Nathan had been working landscaping crews all summer. $15 an hour. 50-hour weeks in the brutal Texas heat. He would come home exhausted every evening, grass stains on his jeans, dirt under his fingernails. But he was proud. He would show me his paychecks, and there was something in his eyes that I had not seen in years. Self-respect. One Friday evening, he came home and found me at the kitchen table with bid proposals. The Bayside project was moving into foundation and framing, and I needed to expand the crew. Nathan grabbed a beer and sat down. Big project. Yeah, Bayside. $5.2 million. We are behind schedule. I need 8 more guys for the next 6 months. I want to hire you, I said. Nathan blinked. What? $18 an hour. 45 hours a week guaranteed. You would report to Marcus Thompson. He is the site foreman. Concrete work, framing, whatever needs doing. It is hard work. Nathan was quiet. People will think my son works for me. That is not nepotism. But you will earn it every day. Marcus can fire you if you mess up. I will not interfere. What about the note? Payments continue. Same terms. This is you building your future. He stared at his beer. Can I think about it? Take the weekend. Saturday morning, I called Marcus. Before we bring on new crew, I need them to get physicals. Insurance requirement. Then I called Nathan. If you are taking the job, you need a pre-employment physical Monday morning. Company policy. This was my opening. Monday morning, I drove him to the clinic on Belair and waited in the lobby. The levels are low. Could be residual from months ago. But he mentioned headaches and memory issues during the exam. Benzodiazepines cause both, especially with long-term use or high doses. Is it permanent? Usually reversible once someone stops. Takes months, though. Thank you, Dr. Patel. I hung up and sat in my truck staring at nothing. Benzodiazepines. Controlled substances. Memory impairment. Diane had been drugging him for over a year, and he did not know. That evening, Nathan asked me about a real estate investment Diane had convinced him to make. $47,000. He could not remember the details. Could not find the paperwork. The memories were blurry, like watching it happen to someone else. She had been handing him papers to sign at the kitchen table at night after giving him the pills. He had signed them believing they were tax forms or investment documents. He had woken up the next morning, and she had told him what he had agreed to, and he had simply believed her because he could not remember not signing. $47,000. Gone. I called Harrison that night. I need you to look into something. Nathan mentioned a real estate deal Diane had him invest in, $47,000. I need to know if it was real. I will look into it. Harrison came back with everything 3 months later. Phone records, bank statements, hotel receipts. A second burner phone Diane had been using. 15 late-night calls over 14 months, all to the same number. Marco Delgado, the loan shark who had given Nathan the poker loans. They were not just business partners. The calls ran at 2 and 3 in the morning, 40 minutes, an hour long. Hotel records showed 8 nights across 14 months in Austin and Dallas. Rooms booked under Mr. and Mrs. Delgado. She had been with him. While Nathan was at home, drugged unconscious every night, she had been with the man she had used to build his debt. They had been running the whole scam together. Marco provides the loans to build the debt. She drugs a victim, extracts the money. They split the proceeds. The $47,000 investment was fake. No LLC existed. The money went straight into her account. She withdrew it as cash. We had everything. Theft, fraud, drugging, identity theft, conspiracy, attempted extortion. I had to tell Nathan, but I needed to do it carefully. He was in a good place, sober, working, making payments on the note. I did not want to break him, but we could not wait any longer. Monday night, I asked Nathan to skip our regular session. We need to talk. It is important. He sat down at the kitchen table. Harrison came in through the back door. Diana Torres, our criminal attorney, came through the front. Nathan's eyes went wide. What is going on? I slid the folder across the table. 3 months ago, you told me about the $47,000 investment. I asked Harrison to look into it. This is what we found. Nathan opened the folder. Bank statements, medical records, hotel receipts, phone logs, photos. His hand started shaking as he read. She drugged you, I said quietly, for over a year, every night. Sleeping pills, high doses. That is why you have memory gaps. Why you do not remember signing documents. She was keeping you sedated so she could forge your signature and steal your money. Nathan picked up the bank statements. 6 checks. $47,000 gone. He found the phone records. Stared at the name Marco. Then he found the hotel photo. Diane and Marco in a hotel lobby. Her smiling, his arm around her. He set the photo down slowly. Diane's face stayed blank. Marco Delgado. Conspiracy. Guilty. Illegal lending. Guilty. Racketeering. Guilty. Fraud. Guilty. Theft. Guilty. Marco's head dropped. 2 weeks later, sentencing. The judge looked at Diane. You targeted vulnerable men. You drugged them. You stole from them. You destroyed families. Diane Pierce. I sentence you to 15 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Marco Delgado, 12 years. Diane was let out in handcuffs. She did not look back. Nathan and I stood outside the courthouse in the cold January air. He was quiet for a long time. It is over, he finally said. Yeah, it is over. He looked at me. What now? I smiled. Now we build. Tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place or in Nathan's. And if you have dealt with something similar, share your story. You are not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. 18 months after the trial, Nathan stood in the lobby of the completed Sugarland Marquis Hotel, the $14 million project he had estimated himself, the one where it caught the $55,000 error I had missed. The lobby was finished now. Polished marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, a chandelier hanging 30 feet overhead. It looked exactly like the blueprints he had drawn. Completed 2 weeks early, the developer said, shaking Nathan's hand. $8,000 under budget. Your son is a hell of a project manager. Brandon. Nathan smiled. Not the hollow, broken smile from 6 years ago. A real one. That evening Nathan came to my office. He had an envelope in his hand. He set it on my desk. What is this? The promissory note. Paid in full. 18 months early. I opened the envelope. Bank statement. Zero balance. $180,000 cleared. Nathan, you did not have to. Yeah, I did. You gave me a second chance. I am not wasting it. I looked at my son, 37 years old, sober, managing million-dollar projects, earning respect, not demanding it. Sit down, I said. I want to talk to you about something. He sat. I pulled out a folder. A partnership agreement. Diana Torres had drafted it the week before. When Diane walked into this office 3 years ago, she demanded 40% equity. She wanted to take what you had not earned. I am not giving you 40%, Nathan. I am offering it because you have earned every bit of it. His eyes widened. Callaway Construction is worth about $18 million now. 40% makes you a full partner, equal say in decisions, your name on the contracts. Not because you are my son, because you have proven you belong here. Nathan stared at the papers. His hand shook slightly as he picked them up and read through them slowly. I do not know what to say. Say yes. He looked up at me. Yes. We shook hands. Father and son. Partners. 3 years passed. Nathan was running most of the company now. I had stepped back, taken the title of chairman. Let him take president. 22 employees. Projects across Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas. Annual revenue pushing $30 million. And Nathan was better at it than I had ever been. One morning we stood on a vacant lot in downtown Houston. 40 acres. The biggest project we had ever landed. $43 million. A conference center and hotel complex. The client wanted to name it after someone who represented resilience and second chances. Nathan had suggested the name. The Sarah Callaway Memorial Conference Center. I stood looking at the rendering. Glass and steel. 10 stories. Beautiful. She would have loved this, I said quietly. Nathan nodded. I know. A woman walked up beside him. Emily. They had been married 2 years. She was an architect, sharp and kind, and her hand rested on her stomach. 5 months pregnant with their first child, a boy. They were naming him Brandon. A reporter asked Nathan about the project, about the name. This company was built by my father and my mother. Nathan said, looking at the camera, 35 years ago, they started with one truck and a dream. My mother passed in 2012, but her legacy did not end. It is in every building we have built, every life we have touched, and now it is in this project. The Sarah Callaway Memorial Conference Center is not just a building. It is a promise that second chances matter, that people can rebuild, that families can heal. His voice did not waver. That evening, the three of us drove to the cemetery. We stood in front of Sarah's headstone. Emily held Nathan's hand. He put his other hand on her stomach. Mom, Nathan said quietly, this is Emily. And this, he smiled, this is your grandson. We are naming him Brandon. Or if Dad is okay with it, Brandon Sarah Callaway. I felt tears sting my eyes. She would love that. Nathan knelt down and placed his hand on the stone. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you and Dad. But I am trying to make it right. I am sober. I am working. I am building something good. And I am going to teach your grandson what you and Dad taught me. That integrity matters. That family matters. That second chances are worth fighting for. Emily knelt beside him, rested her head on his shoulder. I stood behind them, looking at Sarah's name carved in stone. Sarah Callaway, 1958 to 2012, beloved wife and mother. I thought about the night she passed, how I had sat beside her hospital bed, holding her hand, promising I would take care of Nathan, how I had failed that promise for years, how I had almost lost him, but we had found our way back. I kept my promise. I whispered. I brought him home. The sun was setting behind us. Emily stood first and helped Nathan up. They walked back toward the car, giving me a moment alone. I knelt down where Nathan had been and touched the cold stone. He is going to be a father, Sarah, a good one, better than I was. And our grandson is going to grow up knowing your name, knowing what you built, knowing that love does not end. I stood slowly. At the car, Nathan was laughing at something Emily had said, his arm around her shoulders, her hand on her stomach. A family. I walked toward them, and Nathan looked up. Ready, Dad? Yeah, let's go home. We drove back through Houston as the city lights came on, past the Bayside Project, past the medical center, past the hotel in Sugar Land. And I thought about how far we had come from that Friday afternoon when my son walked into my office with a woman who wanted to destroy us, to this moment, driving home with my son, his wife, and my future grandson. We had built something, not just buildings, not just a company, a second chance, a family, a legacy. When we pulled into the driveway, Nathan turned to me. "Thank you," he said, "for not giving up on me, for fighting for me when I could not fight for myself. You are my son. I will always fight for you." They drove away. I stood in the driveway, watching their tail lights disappear, and I felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. Inside, I poured 2 fingers of whiskey, the same glass I had poured the night Nathan first left, the one I could not drink. This time I raised it toward the window. "To you, Sarah." We did it together. I took a sip, and I smiled. The mistakes I made were not just about money. They were about letting pride silence love. For 6 years, I believed cutting Nathan off was protecting him. I was wrong. If you are facing something similar in your own family, do not wait as long as I did. Do not let anger harden into walls that seem impossible to tear down. The real victory was not the courtroom. The real victory was proving that love outlasts manipulation, that a father choosing to fight, even from the shadows, even when his son did not know it, is still love. And predators count on silence and shame and families breaking apart. Do not give them that power. God gives second chances not because we deserve them, but because love does not keep score. Nathan and I were broken, but we rebuilt, not perfectly, but together, and that is what mattered.